It was a tough result, and a disappointing kind of effort through the middle of the finish for us. Obviously loved the way we started and just needed to pull that energy and that level of play through 4 quarters. I think there's a lot to learn from us from this game, and to learn here late is a gift as we turn towards a bowl game. But I just felt like there was just a momentum shift that occurred there, with a lot of back and forth play early. Once they took the momentum, we kind of allowed them to have it for the rest of the game. And you got to credit Tennessee. I mean, obviously they were playing for the playoffs, and credit Coach Heupel and his team for their winning performance. But again, for us, it's a look at the things that we did well early on, where we were able to get momentum and get points, and the kickoff return and the turnover, and again, the back and forth, the 4th down stop, the interception by Martell, some missed opportunities there. Obviously, the pick we threw in the end zone was a drive where we were going to get some points, at least 3, and that was unfortunate. But I think the story becomes, the point at which I think they scored 29 unanswered points, and a second half in which I think our offense snapped the ball 11 times, and they snapped it 44. And you're just not, we're not, when you turn the ball over, when you have 8 penalties for 80 yards, and when you're not possessing the football here, for us right now, you're not going to win games. And again, I thought, it felt to me a little bit like the energy of the field was going to dictate our energy rather than the other way around. So early on, it seemed like we had everything we needed. There late, it seemed like I didn't recognize the team that was on the field, and that's disappointing. And we'll learn from it, we'll grow, and we'll focus on winning the bowl game.
Coach, you mentioned the difference in the snaps the second half. What in that second half made it so difficult to get back into that rhythm and find that momentum again?
Part of it was obviously our performance on 3rd down defensively, and I don't know the split in terms of the half, but they were 11 of 15 on their 3rd downs. 10 of those were inside of 4 yards, meaning we weren't getting them to 3rd and longs. I think too, especially in that initial drive, it just felt like we were having trouble getting them off schedule. Some of it just the run wall, the negative yardage plays we were getting in the first half, or plays that were hitting at the line of scrimmage, seemed like they wore on and became 5-6 yard gains, a lot of 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. And then, some of the conversion downs, not able to generate the pass rush we need to shorten the down. So, when we can't get off the field, obviously it's going to create problems for our offense. And then offensively, I think we were 4 of 9 in the first half, and we end up 4 of 10 on 3rd down. But there weren't opportunities there for them. And, Gunner going down hurt. Obviously, they were able to get to the quarterback a little bit. The safety was a tough possession where, again, we stop them at midfield. They punt it. They pin us. We get a safety, and then kick the return kickoff out of bounds. They start the possession at midfield. It's just you're just not helping yourself against a good team. And again, I thought they ran the ball effectively in the second half and just kind of wore us out, to be honest with you. And it's hard to say that, but it's the truth. And that's how I saw that second half.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. You said you didn't recognize the team played in much of the second half. Is that effort and toughness thing?
And I want to be careful not to be too dramatic about it. I mean, we have a certain style of play that is our expectation, and it seemed like I felt a little bit the way I felt against South Carolina in the second half, where it just seemed like we were on our heels a little bit. I just didn't feel that redirection of the energy on the field. And I mean, we'll watch the film and determine, where we could have strengthened in terms of the tactics, but there's a clear energy difference between early in the game and late, and just like every team, we're battling injuries. We've had a bunch up front, and guys that haven't been able to play. And so, you're playing against a tempo team and you're accumulating snaps with your interior defensive line. And it seemed to we just kind of got a little leaky in there. Our answers became to pressure, and it seemed like they were able to separate the movements and find the space they needed. So I want to stop short of, being critical of effort. Again, the thing that I said to the team afterwards was just like, there was a clear shift in energy in that game where I felt like we stopped playing the way we played at the start. And at the start, we were dictating terms. At the start, it felt like we were building that run wall and doing the things we needed to do in the run game on our end to stay on schedule. And I think that performance over 4 quarters would have put us in position to win a game. We weren't able to maintain it, and so we're disappointed.
How much do they have to do with that, Clark, and how difficult and out do you think they're going to be from this point with the way they are able to wear on a team the way they play?
Well, I mean, I want to give them a ton of credit, and I think they've built a really nice team, and I think their run game it's physical and tough, and I think they've done things this season where it seems as though they're not just trying to line it up and snap it, as many times as they can. They're slowing down a little bit. They're a little more methodical. They're using tempo to change pace and get you on the heels. But the early back and forth of the game was erratic and was kind of where we needed that game to stay. Felt like once it settled into the playing of football, I mean, we needed to be able to generate stops defensively. We didn't do that effectively, and we needed to create space for our offense, and we didn't do that either. And so it was a pretty, again, once we got past those early back and forth, it felt like a pretty complete game that they played, and we didn't do enough as far as, being a tough out or whatever exists for them. I'll stop short of commenting on that. I got a ton of respect for them, and they were the better team today for sure.
Earlier this week that this rivalry is deeply personal to you, with the way it played out today, just how hurtful is that?
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, I just talked to the team about it. It's painful, and I'm upset. I mean, I'm disappointed, but it's also a part of our journey, a part of our growth. I mean, we have to stay focused on how we're learning and evolving forward and how we improve our play in this game a year from now. I wanted it for less for me and more for the players that have put so much into this. And some of those guys won't get another chance to play in that game, and some of them have put 4 efforts on the field that we're not real proud of, and today was one of them again. But so just very disappointed, and a lot to learn, a lot for me to take away too, but certainly, it hurts, and there's nothing really that can take that sting away. At some point we got to turn the page and focus on the ball game.
What you could do to play better in this game, a year from now. What do you think needs to happen in order for that to happen?
We got to keep developing our depth, and I think that's a story or that's a narrative for me that as the season's gone on, it feels like we're having to play closer and closer to a perfect game to come out on top, and looking back, I mean, the effort that we put together at Auburn was us squeezing everything out of the tube. When we came back against South Carolina, it felt like we didn't quite have the same energy. That was a tough stretch for that tough 6-game stretch. Coming out of the bye, I thought we went down and battled in Baton Rouge, but didn't generate the plays we needed to win that one. And today, we came out swinging and we're ready emotionally for that game, but just we weren't able to sustain. So what do we need to do? We got to build our depth out. We got to make sure that we have the ability to play over the course of the season, a 2 deep, and at some positions a 3 deep, and not let the play, kind of slide off on the field. we've got to continue to enhance and develop our skill. Obviously, the runaway touchdown there on the RPO was really a tough play for us. That was it's one of those kind of anti-strategy plays. I mean, you can force them to line it up and snap it a bunch of times, but when you allow them to score in chunks, you're playing into their hand, and so we just got to. Some of that is learning for the player. Some of that is going to be about the development of the players we have, and some of that's going to be about going out and finding guys that continue to move us forward that way too. So it's a lot, but that's part of growing a program and building a program. It's no different than a year ago. The things that we identified we needed to strengthen, we went out and did, and so we're going to do that with the bowl team this year, and we'll keep advancing on the goal, and a big part of that's going to be retaining the guys that we have here and just continuing to improve them through our systems of development.
Why didn't the passing game get going, especially early today?
Why didn't it?
Why did it not get
Yeah, I think some of that has to do with who they are and the space that they weren't giving us. We make it hard on Diego. I know they had a batted ball in there, maybe two, and so sometimes those quick throws where you're trying to get the ball off, if they can get a paw up and knock it down, it keeps you from rhythm. I felt like the run game early was working for us too, and that needs to be a part of our identity, again, in the spirit of shortening the game, which is still how we play. That starts with a physical run game. But I think we're going to look at it and were we able to get open when they were playing man? Were we able to beat man? That'll be kind of what we need to answer when we watch the film. And then, were we able to protect the quarterback in critical situations too? And there were some opportunities in there where, we want the one-on-one back to Q. I know he wants that one back. I mean, I felt like there were some chances for us in the passing game that we just didn't capitalize on as well.
You mentioned the run game. I think at some point early in the game, you guys were averaging 4 yards per carry. It had a 3rd and short there that you guys didn't convert, and then a 4th and short as well. Going back, would you have changed anything there in play calling, or was that what you guys wanted?
Well, I mean, the 4th down was tough, and I think I don't mind the call we made. We didn't execute it, again, credit to them. I mean, we were able to generate I think at that point we traded 4th down stops at some level. So I mean, 4th and 2, and for us, we're trying to win this game, and so we want to try to keep pressure on them. And we ran a little play action to try to get the ball to Eli, I believe. But we'll look at the film and kind of hash through the ins and outs of the call and the process to the call. But in the moment, I didn't have any issue with it. I think we were trying to off our heavy personnel, trying to give a change-up look on a long 2 yards. It was not a gimme. If they're going to sub out and put their big people on the field, we're going to have to find a way to get the space. So.
What do you feel are the ball practices, the fact that you haven't gotten a chance to do that now you're back on the field?
I mean, it's huge. And in this moment, I think it's just I'm so frustrated and I want for better, and I think it's hard sometimes to cut through that and this is a very emotional, it's an emotional process. So we're all frustrated and we all want to play better. But in the end, this team gets an opportunity to not only to finish the season with a win. We've already talked about it as a team. You go into a bowl game is one thing, but you don't go unless you want to win the bowl game. So to be able to send the seniors out and the guys playing their last games at Vanderbilt out the right way is important. And then when you shift and you look at the development piece, you essentially get another spring practice for your developmental players. And that becomes such an advantage as you turn the page to next season. And so the challenge I gave the team is just, that we allow this to hurt, because it needs to, honestly. I mean, we need to feel the pain of this, because at some point we got to get tired of it. And the being tired of it, to me, is not that we're guaranteed ever a result. Like, it's that, again, we don't fracture, we don't relent, we don't mentally lose our discipline in these games to give us the best opportunity to win. And it's hard because there's so many ups and downs, but good teams stay the course. So we need to let this hurt, and we need to learn from it. But for everyone involved, and for those guys, again, that will be moving on from our program, the bowl is a chance for them to leave a legacy and to really help us launch into what's next. And as we've seen from last year to this year, right now, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and go back to work, and I'm going to be a little bit closer, and that's just kind of my mentality and who I am. And we'll keep making the decisions and doing the things we need to do to get this program closer to that. So, again, disappointed, but Gentry, I appreciate the question, because there's a lot to celebrate, with respect to what this team has done. And Robbie, going back to the effort, comment, I mean, we need to learn from it, but man, do I really have a lot of respect for the players in that locker room, and never would I want it to seem like those guys came out to win a game today, and they're crushed that they didn't. We got to be mature enough to take the learning and figure out why that happened and why it didn't. But I love this team, and I'm proud of what we've accomplished this season. And the result stings, but we're going to wake up tomorrow and go back to work.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.